Hello, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Mikey, and I'm the VP of Accounts here at Staffing Robot. Today, I want to talk to you about how to write perfect job postings. So firstly, we're going to be looking at how candidates are searching for jobs and what information can we gather from looking at it from the candidate's perspective that we can use in how to write better job postings. Then we're going to look at a process that you can apply in many different ways on what is your competition. So if you have a travel nurse job that you're trying to fill, then what's your competition for that particular job in that area? We're going to look at how to do that. Next, we'll get specifically into job titles that get clicks. So what needs to go in a job title in order for it to catch the attention of a candidate? Part 4, we'll look at job descriptions that convert. So all of the details that go inside the main portion of your job posting, what needs to be there. Part 5, we'll look at job details pages that amaze. And really what that means is there's 2 ways that candidates can kind of see the information about your job traditionally for what we do. So it's how to utilize that the best way. So firstly, why are job postings so important? Obviously, this is the core of your business. You know, if you're a staffing or recruiting company, your job postings are the way that your business makes money. So that's obviously very apparent, but it really just to make sure it's the core of your communication with your candidates. And more importantly, well, not more importantly, but equally important, it's how Google, it's how search engines understand what you're doing as a business online. So because inside of those job descriptions is what you're trying to organically rank for, have candidates find you organically without you having to pay money, basically. So that's really why these are so important, because on pretty much 99% of any staffing or recruiting website, the majority of the content is going to be job postings. It's not going to necessarily be a blog or anything like that. It's really going to be all of your text is job posting. So it's very, very important to utilize it in the best way. And this is the first point of contact for the most part that most of your candidates are going to be having with your company. So this is a salesperson. This is a way to present yourself, to really set yourself apart, to try to get that leg up on your competition and get that leg up in your candidate's mind. And then, of course, I mentioned a little bit earlier, but Google only understands text. So search engines, when they scrape and look at your site, they can only understand text. They can kind of understand images, but not really videos, sort of not really. There's ways to help them, but just naturally, they just understand what text is. So if Google can read your job postings on your website, then that's what they're going to be attributing to your company, your domain name, which is going to be the source of your organic rankings. So going into part 1, candidate insight. So how are people searching for the jobs you need filled? First, job postings are your most available piece of content online. So, this is, again, going over it so you understand, for staffing companies to do a blog is important, but your job postings are the most frequent, fresh content that are going to be on your website, and there should be a lot of it because you would have a lot of jobs to fill. So it really utilizing this as a source for getting organic rankings and also communicating to your candidates in a different way than your competitors and in a more informative way is very, very important. So also, the job postings themselves being relevant to where they're being seen. And what I mean by that is you can manually post a job to Indeed and have Indeed gives you the ability to do a quick apply. So then when someone clicked on your job posting on Indeed, it wouldn't go to your website. It would stay internally on Indeed, and then people can quick apply that way. So that gives you certain limitations because it's on Indeed. You can't do anything like you can on your website. So it's just being relevant to understanding that there's maybe 2 different versions of a job description if you have a manual posting so people can quick apply, plus you have one on your website. Just some, food for thought there. What information are your candidates really looking for in choosing a job? People usually, I would say people search by profession first, and then they search by location. So if I'm a nurse and I want to do travel nursing, maybe I want to do it in Hawaii, let's say. So they're going to just do a quick search and on Google, on Indeed, on other places, I'm sure, and try to find out what they can. And then honestly, they're going to look for something that they are going to emotionally be able to attach to. They're obviously going to look through the main descriptions and everything in the jobs that they're looking at. But like, if you can connect with them on more than just an informative level of telling them what this job is about, just a little bit something more, then you have that much more percentage that you'll have of actually converting them into an applicant and hopefully into a full-time placement. So, of course, also candidates are looking for clear requirements and descriptions. The more, the better. Again, the more text you can have, the better, because that's what Google understands, as long as that text is really focused on educating and instructing and giving the information that your candidates are looking for to understand if this is a job that they're interested in. So this is why I'm going over all of this, so you can understand that you just got to put a really healthy amount in your jobs, and it's just only going to help you. So next, we want to look at job competition research. So competitors are traditionally going to be on Indeed and on Google. So what you want to do in this section is first, okay, so if you have a specific job in a specific area, like travel nurse jobs in Hawaii, then go do a search on Google, go do a search on Indeed. Look at the top postings. I'll get into this in a little bit more depth later on, but look at the top postings to really try to figure out, what is your competition doing? What are you up against? Because the way the internet works is Indeed and Google are just search engines. They crawl and they read the text in these descriptions. So if you can do something a little bit more, it's only going to help you out. And that goes into titles, descriptions, and what goes in there and stuff like that. As far as getting in front of a larger audience, the fastest, you have to pay for that. You have to do paid traffic in order to be these sponsored posts on the top here, or the sponsored post on the side and the top for Google. So, the important things, of course, are job titles, descriptions, and then a real clear call to action in the sense of apply now. This is going to be a great job for you. You should be really excited about this if you just met all those qualifications and if you think this is a great place for you, a good fit, blah 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 blah. So I'll get into detail on that, but really when we go and look at Google first here, go search for how people are searching. So for me, I've never searched for a travel nurse job, but if I did, I would do this right here, travel nurse jobs in Hawaii. And that's basically pretty much it. And then if I was a candidate, I'm going to pick the one of the top ones. It clearly says which ones are an ad or not. So most people are aware that if they click on one of these, then they're being targeted. So you click on the top ads, just quickly read, understand what they're saying their jobs are about, and just get a good kind of average of what people are doing. Go to Indeed, do the same type of situation where you're just looking for how are other companies advertising these jobs? What are they saying? What maybe works? And that's what we're going to get into next, is kind of looking at what kind of works and what doesn't and how to figure that out. So job titles, yeah, that's right. Job titles is really the first line of defense in your job posting. So when Google or Indeed will read your job posting and they will equate that to search results, basically. So what you put in there is very, very important, because they're saying that's the subject of your job. I know this is very obvious stuff, but basically you need to be able to test or put in as many maximum characters and see what's really effective in order to try to get applications. Also, you have this little snippet here underneath your job posting titles, which really are the quick view that people are scanning. If you think about how candidates are looking, they're just going to scan through this and see which one kind of quickly catches their attention. So this is really kind of the way the internet started, which is kind of cool because there's a lot of things you can do to stand out very easily. So job titles you're looking at, how long should your title be? what are your competitors' titles? How long are those? What's the average character length of your competitors' titles? Try to fit somewhere in between there. What's in them? I would say speciality, location, maybe assignment length if that's relevant. But looking at real clear keyword indicators also that are attention grabbing to put in your titles. Next, and I know this looks kind of funny right now, but next is really a job description. I'll explain what all this means. So firstly, when we're looking at jobs, we have this nursing job up here from the Department of Army, and up on the left here, I chose this one because I wanted to use this as an example to look at really different examples of job descriptions. I'm using the review count. This is from Indeed, these snips, and I'm using the review count as a kind of metric of the engagement that these brands and these companies are getting on Indeed to show you, a clear example to me, why. And obviously it's the Army. I understand it's the government. I get all of that, but it is a job because it came up in the search results when I typed in keywords. So, it's in Hawaii, it's a nurse job. So that's a competitor right there. And 26,000 reviews, that's pretty substantial. But if you look at their job posting, that arrow pointing to it with the thumbs up, I say thumbs up because look how much content is there. All of that text is relevant to that job posting and goes into great length of many, many different things that you could never really imagine. But I guarantee you that because of that, they are crushing, obviously, because they have 26,000 reviews on Indeed. That's what you want. You want 26,000 reviews on Indeed. If you look then below that, another company, Core Medical Group, I'm sure you guys are great. I don't know how well their ad is performing. We don't know how well either of these job postings are performing. We can only really go off of the information that's publicly available, which is 27 reviews for the company, or the Department of Army obviously has 26,000. But Core Medical Group here, RN registered nurse, if you look over, it's a very, very just kind of normal, I would say, good information. There's a lot in there, but this is a lot of what we see where it's just, this is it. This is the job. These are the requirements. But if you just look at what's possible, I know I'm just saying you need to write more, but essentially writing more actually really helps. And it's kind of really core and vital for you to get a structure and a system in place to help you really be able to get length and detail in your job descriptions. And this should be proof to see, like, if you put in more work a little bit into a format for your job descriptions and really, really get stuff in there, it will make an effect. So, important things in a job description are obviously, I know most of you watching this already know, but, job summaries about the position, duties, qualifications required, other requirements, how you'll be evaluated, benefits, the list really just goes on and on. So you can decide, but I would say the best recommendation is somewhere in between this Army job posting and this Core Medical job posting for the length, the amount of words that you really need to put in there. And not just any words, of course, words that are completely relevant to the job and words that are compelling and, paint a little bit more of an understanding, a story, kind of give them more of an insight into really what this job would be and why they want to choose it, because this job posting is your salesperson. So next, when we get to job details pages, so when someone clicks on one of these links, both of these examples are from Indeed again. Essentially, Google, most all of those would be, some would be Indeed, and then some would be organic from someone's website. In Indeed, like I mentioned earlier, you can do this easy apply on the left-hand side with the red arrow that allows people to quickly apply in Indeed. So this is a manual job posting to where it kind of gives that extra convenience. If underneath it, you can see there's not much description in this job. So I don't know how well it's performing. I'm only using this as an example of this is a job details page that people are trying to get people to apply for, that this company, either they didn't have more information or they think that there doesn't need to be any more, but there's just not really a lot there. There's not a lot to work with. And so maybe it's effective, maybe it's not. It's really hard to say. All we know is they only have 6 reviews, and it just does. I wouldn't necessarily click on this personally if I was looking for a job, just because there's not a bunch there. Then another example of a job details page is really your website. So there's a lot that we can go into about your website, but specifically the job details page on your website, you have full control to engage with. This is why branding's so important. This is why your consistent messaging as a company, as a core, is very important, because when people go to your website to look at a job, especially if they're clicking from Indeed, which a lot of companies do very successfully, then you can control the narrative. You have 100% control, which is amazing. So, traditionally, like this company is great. They got some good information. It looks clean. It looks like a well kind of thought out, laid out website as far as this job description page goes. So that's awesome. But with your website, you can do so much more if you want to, after you really get a core foundation built of how to really build out your job description pages and really add more text, add more information about the job so that people can get more engaged. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that was somewhat informative. I know I went pretty fast on that, but please watch it again. Of course, I'm trying to get this information out just as efficiently and forward as possible. So if you have any questions, please email us here at Staffing Robot. You can email me directly. My name's Mikey. It's Mikee @staffingrobot.com. I'm happy to help answer any questions about job postings or anything like that. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.